We're ready.
You're ready? You're going? Okay. Hi everybody, Linda Daniels here from Northampton Wools, and welcome to this episode of Inside Northampton Wools on YouTube. We are so honored and lucky and happy today to have a special guest. This is my friend Jennifer Phillips, and she is a sales representative for Plymouth Yarn Company. But what's your real job, Jennifer?
I actually, by title, am now the National Sales Manager for Plymouth. 35 years with Plymouth, and I guess worked through the ranks. So now I am lucky enough to be able to select new yarns from foreign vendors and pick colors and come up with promotions and programs to support local yarn stores.
Oh, so if you're working on a national level, does that mean that you really have your kind of like thumb on the different kinds of yarns that different areas of the United States might need?
That's a very good question, Linda. We try geographically because obviously a big bulky wool is not going to be as popular year-round in Florida, although with snowbirds, of course. But we do try to keep a pretty good eye on geographically what sells. The trend has been of late that through COVID, that basics, and so that is, there's no boundary there. However, in choosing new yarns, what we have tried to do is have some winter qualities, some more spring-summer qualities, so it encompasses everybody, but especially because of travel and snowbirds. You can get away with that, very much so.
For those of you who don't really know, we carry a lot of the Plymouth yarns in the store, and probably one of the oldest ones that we've almost always carried and always is one of our best sellers is the Baby Alpaca Grande. Now this yarn is made in Peru?
It is. It most certainly is. And all of our alpacas come from one herd, and they free range, so it's au naturel kind of thing. And they, based on the popularity of alpaca, they will cull the herd, meaning they'll only shear a certain percentage of it to keep it from being depleted so that the price continues to elevate, or the herd. So it's a pretty interesting story.
That is amazing. I didn't know that.
Yes.
I didn't know it was just one herd.
So sometimes when alpaca is hard to get specifically from us, it is because they have scaled back how much of the entire herd that they're going to shear.
That's amazing.
At any one time.
So the Baby Alpaca Grande is a yarn that I said we've had for a very long time. It is a bulky weight, knits up beautifully on a size 10 or 10.5 needle. But last year they came out with the Baby Alpaca worsted weight, which is a little bit more finely spun. And this has a very special quality to it.
It does. It does. First of all, it has a different twist than the Grande, but this is a pretty unique and new thing. It's called EC, meaning easy care, and it is not a superwash, so it has not been chemically treated or dipped to make it washable, but it is a machine washable. It's the only one out there that we're aware of, and it's a very, very interesting process that's all done with enzymes. If you could, which gets totally technical, but if you could look at a tube and say that you're putting the yarn in there and spinning it around, all of these enzymes are removing basically the guard hairs and making it so that it can be machine washed, not to be confused with a super wash. Machine wash on gentle is very different from a super wash, but it is the first one out there and has received an awful lot of press. It is processed right there in Peru, and it's all natural. Again, maybe down the road in years we'll see all super washes done this way as opposed to the chemical process, but this is the first attempt at it.
If you haven't been in the store and touched this, you absolutely have to, because the hand is just incredible. It's one of the softest, and alpaca is pretty soft, but it's one of the softest alpacas I have ever come across. And then like I said, there are a lot of other yarns, but our workhorse, so many of you have already knit with this. This is the superwash wool from Plymouth in the worsted weight. We carry both the worsted weight and the DK. This is our workhorse. Is it a workhorse for Plymouth as well?
It most certainly is. It is double processed, which most superwash wools are not. So it does go through the chemical bath to descale it. And then the Hercosset process, which is where it's dipped in a polymer, makes your garment out of this almost a lifetime of being superwash, because it can be washed and washed. Ours is processed in Germany, Uruguay, which is very nice. They very particular about these chemicals. They are now up to about 93% of being able to return the water from this chemical process back to pure. And that's a very big thing to know. Hopefully at some point we'll get up to 100%.
That's amazing. So it sounds to me like Plymouth is really doing all that they can to make sustainable yarns and to really take care of the environment, as well as the animals that a lot of this fiber comes from.
Yes, and the mills that we work with, this is of the utmost importance to them, and we back them completely on it, because it is the way to go in the future. Yes, yeah, it is. It definitely is. Yes, it is.
Speaking of the future, since you are the national sales person, what kind of trends or what kind of plans does Plymouth have for this spring summer?
It's been difficult. It's been difficult through COVID. What's the trend? What's the trend? But what we are seeing a lot of is a little bit of specialty fiber thrown in. We have a new one coming that's got some mulberry silk in it that has some has some great interest, and it just gives you a little bit of luxury in a basic yarn and makes it fancy. Also, very, very popular right now, mohair, or anything that has the appearance of mohair, not unlike your beautiful sweater, is coming back. A carry-along. We have one coming that is an alpaca carry-along. It can knit by itself or be knit with anything. It just gives texture and is giving the knitter something different to look at. So that's what we're seeing. Still very, very strong with sock weight yarns in different patterns in this, and a lot of folks are doing shawls with them as well as socks.
Yeah. So you and I have been in this business for a very long time and have seen that come and go. And talking about these carry-along fibers and now this carry-along alpaca, remember the days of that big, heavy, thick thick, fuzzy mohairs.
Oh, sure. Oh,
you felt like you were dying wearing it.
Yes. And
it's completely different now.
It is. And you know, everybody had one, but the mohairs are very different. You're getting them mixed with nylon, which softens it all the more and lessens the weight of it, which is fun. The dye techniques that these mills have now
perfected
is incredible what they can do. So it makes it a whole new ball game. It's not like your grandmother's mohair, for sure, not at all.
So we've seen a lot of you know, self-striping and a lot of multicolored, from hand dyeing to more of a machine dyed kind of yarn. So we are always looking for those kind of things, but Plymouth continues to be one of the biggest, I think, in my mind, great suppliers of really good quality, standard workhorse yarns that will take you through just about everything and anything that you want to knit. Do you use like Pantone? Is that how you say it? Pantone color suggestions when you're looking at colors for the fall?
We always are very aware of what the colors for the season are going to be. Unfortunately, in hand knitting yarn, it doesn't always follow right directly in translation to ready to wear. And sometimes our experience has been that it takes a full year and they're already on to other colors. I used to always say I wanted that job of what the colors would be for the season, because in my mind you got to work in New York City and drink coffee and eat donut holes and say, oh, this year let's do pastels, because last year we did naturals. I know that there is a way that they do it. It's connected to the fashion industry. We do take it into account, very much so, but it doesn't always translate to yarns as much as you would think it does.
And I agree with that, because they can say that this spring's color is periwinkle, but then everybody might think, they might see a yellow out there or another color that they really love.
What I always sort of make the comparison to is, and now I'm really going to date us, but remember, and I think it was maybe the very early 80s, but someone came up with it. They made a lot of money, but everybody did their colors. And, you know, they would drape these materials on you, and you were either spring and autumn.
Oh, I had that little
and therefore you should only wear those colors. Well, there was a lot of truth to it, that, you know, one person looked better in, say, lime green than another, perhaps blues, but it didn't really pan out in knitting, because if you didn't like lime green, regardless of your season, you know, you sold more blue. So we tend to go more with what we'll do a pop color, as we like to call it, and throw in an acid green, but we have to make sure we've got the blues and the more commonplace colors covered.
Yeah, you really have to run the gamut.
But multicolored yarns are quite popular now, because it gives you more interest without, and the way that they can program the machines to print them and not hand-dyed, and therefore keep the price down, is incredible. And that's all done by computer.
And I'll let you in a little secret. There's a multicolor yarn coming from Plymouth. We can't talk, but it's coming. So we'll be excited to have that in the store sometime this summer, probably.
We do have a new print one that we're very, very excited about, yes.
So coming up, we haven't talked too much about this, I haven't, but Local Yarn Store Day is scheduled for the end of April, and Plymouth always does a little special promotion, and I think you're going to do another one for us this year.
We are. Our marketing director in-house handles all of that. She's the computer guru and this and that, and it's very difficult through COVID, so she's sort of come up with, and she usually tweaks it every year, she's come up with a program with patterns and booklets using current ones, a lot of times brand new ones, where they are offered free to the customer through the yarn store on the day of that. And of course, we support the local yarn shops so much, and sometimes are able to afford some type of discount on a specific yarn, or we work with the yarn store, but we always will offer these. It's sort of a coupon thing, and you can follow, or any consumer can follow on Plymouth's blog or their website, because they do talk about it. Sure.
Yeah, Plymouth has been a great company to support the local yarn stores, which of course, as you can imagine, is the most important thing. Jennifer, thank you so much for talking with me today.
Thank you for allowing me to share in this. And everyone, keep knitting and happy knitting.
Perfect.